Well, glory to God. Welcome once again to Power of Faith. I'm Pastor Philip Derber with your Family of Faith Victory Church right here in the capital city of Frankfort, Kentucky. And just delighted to be able to share with you the truths of God's Word once again. Luke 1:37 says, "For with God nothing shall be impossible." And it is terrific Thursday, and we have in the studio once again my daughter in the faith, Mercy Osuala. And we have been really going through your life, how God, as far off the path of light we get, God is still there saying, "Hey, I'm here."
Yes, thank God.
And run to me. And, we left off here yesterday. I mean, we only have so much time on this radio program. And those of you listening, if you missed any of these segments, you can go back into the archives and listen, or go to our podcast on YouTube and listen to it. But we left off yesterday. You had gotten pregnant in college with twins.
Yes.
Got married 9 months pregnant.
Right.
And it was not, the marriage that you had thought about as a little child as far as the wedding is concerned. And then, you're in college, you're about to graduate, and so on and so forth. He's playing football. You give birth to these twins.
Yep.
He comes back from out there, and something inside, something's wrong, and you confront him about being faithful, and he admits that he hasn't been.
Correct. Exactly.
Now, there you are as a mother of two young children, a boy and a girl.
Yep.
And when this hits you, what do you, and you're coming to church now.
Yes.
And you're coming to this church.
Exactly.
And you're learning the word.
Yes.
But this all of a sudden slaps you upside the head, right?
Right.
What do?
I called the associate pastor, who was the women's Bible study teacher at that time. Literally that night it happened. I got on the phone. I called her, crying, telling her what happened. That was the only person I knew. I didn't really have any, connection with anybody else in leadership. It's just this Bible study that I'd come to at the church for women. So I reached out to this woman that I knew, here, and she just began to counsel me. And she said, I'm going to have to report this to the leadership here, just because you're, now an active member. I told you I was volunteering at the, the nursery. And so she just was letting me know protocol-wise. She just wanted to cover her bases and let me know she was going to tell someone else, what was going on here in leadership. And
not to gossip.
No, not to gossip, but just for spiritual covering and for help. I was calling her for help. And ironically, she's now one of the ladies on that prayer line, that helps when people call in situations like that, and that was my midnight hour. So I got with her, and she referred me to the pastor, and so we got in marriage counseling with you, and he showed up. So at that point, we started working on things, and it looked like things were getting better. And So you wanted the marriage to work?
Absolutely. Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, we have 2 kids together. We're young. I'm just thinking, hey, you hadn't really been plugged into where I'm plugged in, maybe he doesn't have as close a relationship with Jesus like I do. And I understand where I was at when I was making bad decisions, as a person who loved God. I just was looking at it as if he had a good heart for God, and he just made a mistake. And we're young, and this can be fixed. And so we get in counseling. And it could. And I believe that. Still to this day, people who go through things, it's not just because somebody messes up in a marriage. It's not over. You and Mama Alberta have that testimony, So we got in counseling. Things are looking good. A couple of years go by, and it comes out that something has happened again. And to say it comes out is a very, very limited way of saying it. I got a phone call New Year's Eve of 2007, and it was a call from leadership here, and they said something has been brought to our attention about your husband. And, everything's rushing through my mind. We're working with the youth group at this point. We're helping record messages. Did he take something from the church? Did somebody, did something happen with a student that he knows about that I don't know about? I just wasn't sure what was going on. So we got called in, and it was like a movie being played out in front of me, in the sense that I did not really feel like it was my life. Like, this can't be happening to me. Mm-hmm. At this point, we'd had another child. So I have 3 children. And it was brought to leadership's attention that the man I was married to had actually taken the cell phone of one of the girls at the youth group, and he had put his phone number in and was starting to text her, on a personal level. She didn't even offer her phone number to him. So he's starting to text her, and inappropriate things. I don't know the details. I never got into that, but it was something to the point that she told her parents, and her parents called the pastor at our church, which was you, and, we weren't going to stand for that. Mm-hmm. Nobody, me, anybody. So once that came out, I was done. Well, it didn't just stop there. Okay. There was other things where his position in the school. That's true, sir. Okay. That got exposed on top of all. Absolutely. Once it started coming out. You're right. Okay, I didn't know what you meant by that. Yeah, so what I was saying was I was done with the marriage at that point, meaning I did not want any further counseling. I didn't want any other help. I didn't want to try to make it work. I did not want to go through that cycle again. And I could see that was a cycle because we were getting so much word. We had went to counseling. We were implementing what counseling was telling us to do as far as what I knew. I was doing my part. And at that point, I had grown up spiritually. So I knew, if I don't change now, if something doesn't change at this point, like the children that walked around, in Egypt or in the wilderness, the children of Israel, once they were coming out of Egypt, they came out. God gave them multiple chances to follow him, to trust him, but they wanted to go back. They wanted to do things their way. And I felt like I could have gave him 10 times, just like, however long the children of Israel decided, no, we don't want to go up. Oh yeah, now we want to go up. Oh no, we don't want to do this. Yeah, now we'll do this. It was like it was a game, for them, and they probably didn't mean for it to be that way, but that's what it was. When you're playing with God, if you're not obeying him and you're doing things your own way, it's like, Lord. So this situation is slapped you upside the head, and it's New Year's Eve. Yes. And I remember Mama Alberta, you were devastated again, right. And she tells you to come to the New Year's Eve party. She does. Exactly. The night that it happened, like I said, it happened on New Year's. And again, I'm, distraught. I call Miss Alberta, the pastor's wife, and she is like, Mercy, you need to come and be around the family of God. And so I come here. That takes faith to do that. Yes. How many people in a situation like that, you had opportunity to get mad at God, to say, forget this noise, right, blah, blah, blah. But you did it. Right. And I remember that night when you walked in, how, you were really pressing. Yes, I was. And then on top of everything else, one of the young gals that he had been in contact with that doesn't go to this church, right, shows up looking for him. Exactly. And that is another what is going on? It was crazy the way everything happened. So we want to get past all this now. Yes. So you're done. Divorce. Yes. Right? Yes. And he goes his way. Yep. But you stay here. Yes. And you don't have a job. Nope. You got 3 babies. Yeah, I was a stay-at-home mom.
What does Mercy do?
Have to tune in next time to hear. I'm just kidding.
Right?
It was crazy.
You're gonna have to reach out and government help.
Yeah.
Food stamps.
Absolutely.
All that kind of.
All the above.
What do they call that? Section
8.
Section 8. All that, right?
So I definitely reached out for any type of assistance I could get financially, but because I had been going to church here, so many people knew me. I had been plugged in here, and they were just, I would tell them, what was going on, and they would just offer and say, you know what? We've got a room here. Do you want to come stay with us? I know it may not be, permanent or may not even be very long term, just to get away from the house for right now while you all decide what you want to do. I did have a vehicle. Yep. And so I took the vehicle. I drove to these people's house, stayed there with them. I was volunteering at a community center here, and the people at the community center, I went to them, told them my situation, that I was looking for a position because they had been looking for someone to hire. And they were like, yeah, if you're ready to work, we're ready to have you because, like I said, I had been a stay-at-home mom. So I got this job. I'm staying with a couple at the church. And then another couple says they're moving out of their apartment and they're going to leave the deposit. They're leaving all their furniture and they would let me move in if I wanted to.
Wow, look at God.
And so I moved in, and that was just really, like you said, look at God. It was the favor of God, the family of God, the mercy of God, compassion of God. And I just decided to stay faithful to God. And another thing I did was, I remember I told you I'd got all those CDs before when I first came to church. I bought a whole nother stack of CDs, but this stack of CDs was from the previous 4 months before this whole explosion happened. And I bought those because I said, God, this didn't take you by surprise. You may have been saying something to me prior to this, and I need to know what it was. So I bought all these CDs, literally a stack of them. Back in the day, we had CDs. And I just was like, I'm going to hear what you have for me.
Well, we're going to pick it up tomorrow. Glory be to God on the final conclusion, icing on the cake. Mercy, thank you for being so candid.
Yes.
I mean, and you couldn't be that way unless you're really set free, totally healed of all that. And we're going to get into tomorrow how God has blessed your life, and your 3 children are no longer toddlers.
Right.
And they're up and running big time.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that and how God is so faithful.
Yes, he is.
So faithful to take you after, an ugly divorce. And there you are. There's a lot of women that live in those kinds of situations because they don't know, they're scared to be on their own. And so they just live in that kind of mess. But anyways, you took a step of faith in the right direction, I must say.
Thank God.
Our prayer line's there for you, listeners, 502-597-4357. And it's there for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You don't want to miss the conclusion of this tomorrow. Until then, Pastor Philip and Mercy reminding you that Ecclesiastes chapter 8, verse 4 says, where the word of a king is, there is power. You be a blessing.